Good evening and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm your host, Joshua Solomon, and with me as always is the Honorable J.P. Marzullo. And how's the lightning treating you?
Wonderful. I like watching lightning, actually. When we lived in Maryland, I would go out on the front porch and watch it.
Yeah, no, I love them too. But
I just don't like when it hit. My house got hit up here, and it blew out all my computers and everything
really?
I had, several years ago, because I had an electric, I had a fence for the dog, right, that was buried underground. And so it hit the, it hit the wire, you know, that was kind of surrounded it, which it backed right up into the house. And that's where the main thing was. Yeah, I ended up with a poodle after that, from a Great Pyr to a poodle. Yeah.
That reminds me, I've had a run-in with lightning too. 30 years ago, I was on my first cruise with Maine Maritime Academy.
With your parents? Or?
No, with Maine Maritime Academy. I was an engineer.
You were older then, okay.
This was before cell phones, before satellites, before internet, you know, so I hadn't been in contact with my family for weeks, right?
When you were at school.
I called them from a payphone in Spain before we got back on the ship, you know, and it was, you know, a month later before I got home. When I got home, we pulled into Bath Iron Works in Portsmouth, or Portland, and I got on the phone and I called up and I said, I'm going to need a ride home. We're going to be pulling back into Castine in another day. I'll need a ride home.
That's when they were living in Maine, though, right?
Maine,
Your parents lived in Maine, right?
And my dad says, well, I got something to tell you. He says, the house is gone.
The house is gone.
I'm like, what are you talking about? He says, I got hit by lightning about 3 days ago and it's gone. And my dad's a jokester, right? And I just, you know, he was in the Navy too, and I said, no, I don't believe you. I said, I called you at the house. You're in the house right now. And he says, son, he says, dumb luck, it's the only thing in the house that still works. The darn phone still works. I'm like, you're full of it. I said, just pick me up tomorrow. I hang up, and I thought about it. And I went to the library. This is, again, before the internet and all that. So I went to the Portland Public Library, and I pulled up the newspaper from 4 days ago. And there's my house on fire on the front page.
Oh, no!
Of the newspaper. Lightning had come through the roof. We had a big, gigantic 3-story house built by Captain John Brown of Millbridge, Maine, 150 years ago. Lightning came through the house. My bedroom was on the 3rd floor and struck my bed.
Oh, wow.
At 6 a.m. where I would have been sleeping, and then burnt the place to the ground.
Wow.
Anyway, that's my
sad
brush with lightning. But right before the show started, when I was looking at the live lightning net, we had 3 or 4 strikes right here. So if we disappear, folks, it's because we're not prepared for a power outage. So.
Yeah.
All right, we have a guest. We're done talking.
So we have Melissa on. She's going to be running for Bailey, by the way.
Yes.
She's going to be running for Congress in CD1, so welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, and why don't you kind of give us a little background of yourself, your family, and then of course the only question we ask is, why are you doing this?
Yes, of course.
So you can start wherever you want, and we'll just sit back and listen.
All right, well, I also have a lightning story.
All right, let's do it.
More like JP's than Josh's, thankfully. But my husband was away traveling for work and completely unreachable, so of course what happens?
Yep.
Big emergency.
Yep, exactly.
Our house got struck by lightning, and we had it was like the Vantage, like the smart lighting.
Yep.
And none of them worked. So none of the lights in the house worked. The kids, of course, were concerned because the internet and the TVs weren't working. And
oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out how to do anything because it was all electronic, and my husband was totally out of pocket. So it was a long process to get all the lights replaced and all of that. So.
Wow.
So the smart lights are not lightning proof.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
How about smart TVs? I wonder.
I don't know.
Well, find out.
Yeah, yeah.
So go ahead, let's
So
go.
my name is Melissa Bailey. I am running for Congress in CD1. I live in Bedford with my husband and our 3 children. I have 2 high schoolers and a 6th grader, so they're getting a bit older.
And what's the mix? Boys, girls, old
I've
girls?
got a daughter who's going to be a senior,
Okay.
and then I've got 2 sons. One's going to be a freshman and one's going to be in 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And, but I grew up north, so I grew up in the Upper Valley.
Oh.
I graduated from Lebanon, but I have family in Enfield and Canaan,
Yep.
and was just surrounded by family up there. Still have a lot of family up in that area. And when I say surrounded by family, my grandmother was one of 14, and my grandfather was one of 5. So we were really related to pretty much the whole town. Yeah. So I was meeting people even in high school, and my mom would be like, "Oh, that's your cousin from so and so," you know. So. So went to Lebanon High School, graduated, and decided I wanted to escape our winters for a couple of years. So decided to try a different state for college. So I went to Wake Forest in North
wow.
Carolina,
Yep.
and studied finance, and then got my graduate degree in accounting down there. So,
Nice.
and then
That's what we need in Congress, people who understand
Actually
finances.
understand it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. To continue with, Doge and kind of continue down that path of
Yep.
fiscal sanity. Yes. So started a career in accounting. I was in public accounting and audit for a couple of years, and then went into the banking industry and worked for Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase, and just in a variety of roles from corporate accounting and financial reporting. I worked for various business segments. I worked in credit card and retail banking, so kind of a variety of things within the banking sector. Over the course of that time, I met my husband. We got married.
Where'd you meet him?
Through banking. He's also a banker, so
Oh,
we are a
okay.
banking family.
Yeah.
So, had 3 kids. Life got crazy, as anyone who is raising a family knows, with young kids, and had the opportunity to move into a even more difficult role and most fulfilling role, which was to be a stay-at-home mom. So,
So you were the CEO, basically. You had
CEO
to
of
do
the
everything,
household.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So have been out of that professional banking accounting world for about 10 years. And what a 10 years it's been. It's been a really crazy time in our country. So really thankful to have been there with my kids to raise them with our values, and was able to, especially with COVID, to see everything that was going on with the schools, to pull them out. And we did homeschool for a number of years, and did some private schooling as well, just to kind of pull them out and again make sure that they were learning from us and learning our values.
Was that when you were back in New Hampshire?
No.
You were still in the Carolinas or somewhere else?
No, we actually have lived kind of all over the country. So we've
Okay.
moved around a bit, and when
For your husband's work or for your work?
yeah,
Your
for my
husband's
husband's job, yeah. So, and we've lived in 7 states. We actually lived in an RV for a little while during COVID. We hopped in the RV, homeschooled from there. So kind of traveling around a bit. So, and now my kids are all back in school. We're in the Bedford schools. They're back in public school, and we love them, and we love our school community. But one of the issues we can talk about is education, and that's why I'm so passionate about education choice, because we chose different paths for our kids, at different junctures in their learning and different ages.
That's a good point. A lot of the naysayers for the education funding accounts and homeschooling, they're like, oh, well, your kids aren't going to be integrated into society, or these education funding accounts, when you homeschool your kids, you're taking money away from the public schools. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Right? But also, just because you choose to homeschool or take advantage of the EFAs one year doesn't mean that you're not going to go back to public schools at some point.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're not a public school fan.
Exactly.
It just means that whatever was happening was right for you and your child at that time.
Exactly. And it was
Right?
a little different for
So
each of
it's
my
not-
kids.
It's not doom and gloom for the public school system to have these choices.
Right, definitely. Yeah, each of my kids were a little different. My oldest, she pretty much has been in public school almost the whole time. She was a little bit older when COVID hit. My youngest, he homeschooled all the way through 4th grade.
Nice.
And I do think that early elementary, that early education age is a great time to have that one-on-one time. He was he was in kindergarten during COVID, and so he's trying to learn how to read on a screen.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. And so we were able to start then and just realize that actually, hey, we really like this model. And I'm home and I have the availability to do it. I know a lot of parents don't, but I was very thankful to have that time and to be able to keep him home. So, and then my older son was kind of in between. He did some homeschool with us. We did some hybrid private school, a university model school. If you've heard of that, it's like, it's hybrid. It was a Christian school that was part homeschool and part in person. And that worked well for him to get him. He was one of those like very active boys, like most of our boys are, and so it got him through those early elementary years where he couldn't sit still in a class as much. He would have just a couple days in class, and he could be home with us the other days. And
Was that here in New Hampshire? Or
that was not here in New Hampshire, no.
Okay.
And then for middle school, he was ready to go back to school, and we're a big sports family, so the intent was always to go back for middle school when they could do sports with their peers, and so.
So what kind of sports are they involved in?
Let's see. I guess we'll start with my daughter. We'll start at the top and work
Sure.
down. So she is a runner. So I was a runner growing up as well. So I love that she's following in my footsteps. And I'm actually really proud of her because she is going to try field hockey for the first time as a senior. So she was the manager of the field hockey team last year and just enjoyed the coach and the team and all of her friends play. So she said she's going to go out and try it
That's
this year.
awesome.
It's a lot of running and a lot of cardio in that. So if she's a runner,
Yeah.
then she's going to pick it right up.
Yeah. So she played over the summer. So yeah, I think she's ready for that to start. And then both of my boys play football. They've played since they were real little. When the helmet's bigger than they are, and they fall over, and you have to pick them up.
They're top
They're
heavy.
rolling.
They're top heavy,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and my older son, so he's going to be a freshman, and I think since he was that age, he's been ready to play high school football. So he's so excited for this first season of high school football, and we
You
love.
play for Bedford?
Yeah, we love Bedford football, so we're
And
super
what,
excited.
Okay, so how big is he?
How big is he? Oh gosh.
Is he your average football player, or is he the runt of the litter when he's standing there with the rest of his team?
No, he's definitely not the run of the litter. He's like probably average size. He's
Yeah.
gonna play wide receiver and
So he has
probably
some
safety.
speed and-
yeah,
cool.
he's fast and
Very good.
so and then he's gonna run as well. And then being
Are you still running
I am still running. Yes, I'm
Great.
actually doing a race this weekend. So
a 5K?
a 5K. Yep,
Have you ever run a marathon?
I have.
You have? Where?
I've done the Chicago Marathon twice actually.
Which is
So-
great.
Really?
I've run out there because it's flat.
It's flat, exactly. That was the first marathon I did.
When you run your first
Yeah.
marathon, you have to do it in Chicago.
It's the fastest
I know.
times, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
My daughter ran her first marathon last summer, and it was up north here in the hills.
And it was, yeah,
Oh, and
those
it
are
was
tough.
brutal.
tough.
When she was
Yeah.
done, she was sick, right? And
Oh, yeah.
She's currently training for another one.
Okay.
And I've told her, I said, okay, now you've learned
Yeah.
what you need to do getting up there. You need to get better at the hydration.
Well, yeah. And the
Yeah.
You
Marine.
know what not to do, even though you completed it. You
Right.
you can do it better this time.
Yes.
So,
There's the Marine Marathon in D.C., which is also good because it's flat.
It's flat.
So,
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. to
No, you do.
interrupt,
When
but-
you're running, you research that. And I had a goal back in the day to run Boston. My dad was a runner as well. He ran Boston. And
Oh, cool.
but what I didn't realize about Boston, so my second marathon, I actually did qualify for my age group.
Yep.
But it's not just about qualifying. You have to be so far under the qualifying time. So
Yeah.
I qualified and still didn't make it. So, and I don't know that I could
Did
do
you
a full
sneak
marathon
in, or
again.
what?
So- no. But so I've done a couple of halves since then, and now really I don't have the time to train, and
Right.
I'm getting older. So I enjoy 5Ks and 10Ks now. So
Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah.
Actually.
yeah,
So speaking of races,
yeah, exactly.
so what made you jump in this? I mean,
Yeah.
you've never run for office before, have
Never
you?
run for office before.
Okay.
I guess I'm a sucker for punishment. I was an accountant, and now I want to be a politician.
And you ran marathons. Okay, it all fits
It
now.
all fits together, yeah. It's seeing just what's happened to our country and being a mom and just being there with my family and my kids and worrying about the future of our country got me interested in politics.
And you're a sports family, so women in sports might be important to you.
Yes,
Right.
definitely. That issue in particular, it's frustrating that it's a political issue.
Yes, right.
It's very personal. I grew up, I played soccer and ran, and I was kind of one of those early generations that benefited from Title IX. I never thought it would be an issue for my daughter a generation later to then have those, those rights taken away from her. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is some good news on the horizon. I actually read an article today More than half of the states, including New Hampshire,
Yep.
have now started to have enacted laws to prevent puberty blockers and
Yes.
underage and all that business.
Yep.
So we're kind of winning on that,
Mm-hmm.
and several federal lawsuits. They're all being slapped down. So no, go away. You don't
Yeah.
really. That's baloney. But there are also 2 Supreme Court cases that the president is urging the Supreme Court to take up
Yeah.
very quickly. But there's 2 of them relating to men and women's sports.
Yeah.
And they've made it to the Supreme Court, and we're waiting for them to either take it, acknowledge it, or slap it down, right? So we're kind of waiting for that.
Yeah.
And we're kind of hopeful. I mean, we got a good
Yeah.
mix there, and so that. We got some good news on the horizon there.
Yeah.
How we went this far in such a short
Yeah, why
period
are we
of
even
time.
talking about
Exactly. Why
This
is this
wasn't
an
an
issue?
issue 8 years ago, but
No.
but it's become like the number one issue on people's mind for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah.
And how did we go that far down the sewer so freaking quickly?
I know.
So,
I think
anyway,
because the
that's
Democrats
me
prey on
me
our
a rant.
acceptance, and they think, they say, you're hateful if you push back against any of this. But I think, to your point, I think that there is hope, and I think that the tide is turning, and this goes way too far. Nobody's
Yep.
on board with this. And from the standpoint of politics, it does end up being a winning issue for us. So I hate to say that, but it's detrimental to our country and to our girls. But when Stephanie Shaheen is out there saying,
Oh, yeah.
men should be, boys should be in our girls' sports on a case-by-case basis, it's very easy to say that's completely out of the realm of anything that's reasonable.
There's a reason why there's men
Yeah.
and women's sports, and they've
Yeah.
been separated for decades, centuries,
Yeah.
up until this
Yeah,
point, for a
exactly.
very specific reason.
Yeah. And I talked about my son and my daughter who are both running. And my daughter, she's been running for years. She's an amazing athlete. Her brother, who's, a freshman, she's a senior, he's already faster than her. He's
Sure.
a boy. She's
Right.
a girl. Like,
Right.
they shouldn't be on the
It's
same.
muscle density, it's
Yeah.
bone density, it's hormones, right? And they want to reduce it down to just hormones.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do. And so they want to be able to put puberty blockers into males, or for adult males to have them on estrogen for X number of months before they're allowed to compete. And
Right.
and that's the standard that they want to put, but that doesn't take into account their bone density, their muscle density, and the
No.
fact that they are bigger
Yeah,
individuals,
Yeah.
right? They're built differently.
totally different. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So that's one of the things.
all right. So there's one subject that's got you going.
But no,
And
that's
obviously
a
it gets us going.
great, yeah, we've
Yeah.
talked about that a lot. Thank God, we have a governor that's made the right move so far in
Yeah.
relationship to that. She has a daughter, goes
Yeah.
to the Air Force Academy. She was a great athlete,
Yeah.
basketball player here.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to see that happen, but there's more to do, right?
Yeah, we definitely have to make sure that we see this through so that it just cannot happen again.
Yeah, so that's one reason why you got into it, right? Talk about some of the other things. It's important, I think, for the viewers to
Yeah.
get an opportunity to know who you are
Yeah.
as a person. Well, you've already started some of that,
Yeah.
but
Well, I think we don't have representation in Washington, right? We were talking about this before,
Yeah.
that it's at the federal level. Republicans don't have in all of New England representation, really. So I see a great sense of opportunity with this open seat. And the way the makeup of our district is, and the way we are on the issues right now, as far as the issues that are on the forefront of voters' minds, I think this is the best landscape we've had in a long time to pick up this seat. And Pappas, he obviously is a unique politician and a popular politician, and just being from Manchester and being in the largest voting block in our district made it real difficult to overcome that. So seeing the opportunity that we have here, I'm like, you know what, if we can get a candidate in who is relatable, because New Hampshire voters, they want to see you, they want to meet you, they want to tell you their concerns, and
Sure.
Be able to have a real conversation. So to have someone that can do that, and then, to your point of what we were talking about before too, but, I want to go to Washington, and I really want to make a difference when it comes to, fiscal sanity, when it comes to fiscal policy. I'm interested in the banking industry, and I'm interested in making life more affordable. Interested in, student loans. There's a lot of areas I think that I would like to work on as far as bringing costs down for people. And so because I have that background in finance and accounting, I'll bring that as well.
Yeah, that's great. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that those issues, we're all on the winning side of those issues, I
Yeah.
believe, as
Yeah.
Republicans,
Yeah.
as conservatives. And we'll let them continue the way they're going
Yeah.
because there's no leadership there. But you're right about Pappas. He has served here for more times than I like to say.
Yeah.
But we never see him until it's time to run again, right? I mean, he never shows up for anything until it's time to run. And
So I think I've mentioned this before. Because he's my congressman, in order to do things, touristy things in Washington, D.C., such as get into the White House,
Right.
get into the FBI building, get into
Yeah.
the Pentagon, as a civilian, you have to get permission from your congressman, right? And so because he's my congressman, I reached out. I wanted to take my son, and we did, and we had
Yeah.
a good time. But because of that, and that was, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, I'm on Pappas's email list. All right, and so I get all of his messages, all of their campaign messages.
Yeah.
I don't get anything at all until campaign season.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't see him on the Sunday morning talk shows. We don't see him doing floor speeches down there. We don't see him making any waves anywhere. We do see that from his voting record that he votes something, 96%?
Yeah.
With
Their
the
administration.
DNC, with whatever the party
Yeah.
line is. And then when it comes election season, time to run, that's when I start getting messages from him. That's when on the other side, I'm also on the email list for darn near every Republican in New England.
Yeah.
And I'm getting messages all the time. I still get messages from the Trump campaign about what
Yeah.
Trump is doing today, even though he can't run anymore, right?
Yeah.
So we get communication from the conservatives, but I get nothing out of Pappas,
Yeah.
right? Even though he's in my district,
Right.
I voluntarily gave them my information,
so you can-
and they don't reach out unless it's campaign season. And so that's one of the things that is kind of irritating about the incumbents.
Yeah.
It's also, he feels safe,
Yeah.
right? He has the money from the DNC, he has all of that backing, and that's what makes it so difficult for us to overcome. And the fact that the seat is vacated is, like you said, it's a fabulous opportunity.
Yep.
So,
And we know what's going to happen if Sheen or Sullivan, if one of those two get in there, that it's like it was with Pappas right now. They've got the money coming in from the DNC machine, and it's very difficult to get in at that point once there's an incumbent in there. So.
yeah, I think you'll get to the point where you need to go to D.C. and talk
Yeah.
to the Republican National Committee.
Yeah.
And ask for that kind of help that we hope we have. You were recently on a talk show. You called in.
Yeah.
And maybe you can talk about that a little bit, exactly who you called, what you discussed. No, I think that's important.
Yeah, it's actually really exciting for us. So part of, when I was in my stay-at-home mom phase, I started listening to a lot of podcasts and really like Charlie Kirk and listen to him a lot and really appreciate what his organization does as far as getting conservative candidates elected. So I'm a member of his organization, so I called into his show last week and had the opportunity to ask him specifically about New Hampshire. They're building Turning Point like an organization here. Their presence is here now in New Hampshire. So Turning Point Action is their organization that focuses on the Get Out the Vote versus like Turning Point USA, which is the campus operation.
Right.
So Turning Point Action is here now, and they're building a team. They have now 2 reps on the ground here, and they're looking to get 2 more because they see New Hampshire as an opportunity. So I was able to call into Charlie and ask him about that and say, hey, what do you think about our state of New Hampshire? They're really excited about it. They see the momentum on the ground. They're looking again at that voter registration data, that we have more registered Republicans now. And they really want to have they see like a long-term vision of being here now in our state through 2032 is what they said. They're making a big investment here to really help try to get candidates elected.
that's what we need. We need some more of that national attention and those types of organizations to get in here. But we are in a difficult position here. We do have a lot of registered Republicans, and hopefully we get you know, I listened to that segment. He's
Yeah.
he's very bullish on New Hampshire.
Yeah.
What did he say? He's
Cautiously bullish.
Yeah.
But that's good. That means
Yeah.
that we've got a large organization, a very visible organization that's
Yeah.
going to be putting some effort into making sure that we get conservative candidates elected here.
Yeah.
The difficulty here is, you know, again, unique opportunity. We have 2 open seats, a Senate seat and
Yeah.
a House seat. The downside of this opportunity is that it's during an off-year election.
Right.
That's a very difficult time
It
to
is.
run for office.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you've chosen to do so anyway.
Yes, exactly. Because I think all the other factors work in our favor. And I do believe in, again, in the Turning Point model, where they go after those voters that are disengaged but already on our side. So we have a lot of registered Republicans who maybe Trump's not on the ballot and they're not going to come out, or maybe, to your point, it's a mid-year and so they're not going to come out. And so that's exactly who they go after. They look at who only votes, you know, who has only voted, I think it's in like 2 of the last 4 elections. They have some, you know, some number that they're looking for, and they go after those voters specifically, rather than trying to, you know, convert, you know, weak Democrats, or, you know, they'll go somewhat to the middle, but it's mostly trying to get those disengaged voters. So I think that'll be really helpful to go after those folks. And then the other thing that I really like about their model, and it's something that I'm going to use for my campaigning, is building coalitions. So rather than just kind of going after one message and going after just one voting group, it's saying, okay, well, there's voters who are really motivated by this specific issue, and so I'm going to try to pull those into my voting base. So like the Maha Coalition, they're building a coalition around that to get anyone who that's like their top issue to pull them in. And then you've got, you know, our base, and then you have, they're doing a faith coalition. So I know Christians, another voting group that don't always come out, so they're trying to like generate some interest there and get a group together, so that, you know, over the course of the next year, they're building a relationship with these different faith organizations and then motivating them to come out. So I think those models that they use will be tremendously helpful in a midterm. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that you also mentioned independents.
Yeah.
How important that would be.
Yeah.
And they're not always the easiest people to bring in, but
Yeah.
sometimes they're more engaged.
Yeah.
Because they want to make sure they get their candidate in. So I think those are people. I think the majority of them, that's probably wrong, but many of them vote
Yeah.
Republican.
Right.
Even though they're, you know, they say they're independent, they're really
Right.
not. So that's going to be something I'm sure you're going to have to work on. You're
Yeah.
part of the GOP meetings in Bedford, right?
Yes.
In your own town. So
Yeah.
we've had some really strong people come out of there, especially in the State House. We had
We have
several
great
that
state
were
reps.
great.
Yeah.
And I think that's. And if you haven't reached out to some of those, I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
Because they should be able to help you.
Yeah, so I'm the vice chair of our committee. So,
Oh, cool.
and they're
Okay.
all very active. It blows us away. Every monthly meeting we have, there's always several of them there. So we have 5 of the 7 seats in Bedford, and
Right.
goal is to get all 7 next time. And
Yep.
but yeah, we have great candidates, and they're very involved. We just had a meeting last night, and you know they were giving us updates on what they're working on now and kind of what's coming up this next session. So.
Yeah, you have plenty of time, really. You're getting
Yeah.
in early enough so that people find out who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, this probably isn't going to be the first time we have you on here, but at least it gets your name out there and what you stand for. So I think
Yeah.
that's always name recognition, as we've said over and over again, is really important. And
Exactly.
to the point that that the clip you had said, that is really important. That you need to get out there and.
Yeah. I
That's-
think the name recognition and the, you had mentioned before the independents. I do think the independent bloc in particular, they are looking for a relatable candidate. They're looking for someone they can do this with, right? Have a conversation with, and they can tell you their top issue. And I've already talked to some independent voters, and again, the issue we keep coming back to, we want to protect our girls.
Yes.
That just resonates really well with that group of voters too.
So we're talking about independence.
Mm-hmm.
Independent is not a party, right? So here in New Hampshire, if you want to be an independent, you
You have to-
essentially unregister as whatever party. And then
Right.
when you want to vote in a primary, you go in
And change it to
and
that.
change it to that party,
Right.
Yeah.
grab that ballot, vote, and then before you leave the building, you
Go back to
go
being
back and unregister as an independent, right?
Yeah.
We also have, and so independent, we have a lot of folks that do that, including my wife, right? Which, we'll talk about that.
Boy.
A lot of people in New Hampshire do that because they don't want to be labeled. New Hampshire is unique that way. We have more
yeah.
voters that think that way because they don't want to be labeled on either side, and they don't want to be bombarded with advertisements from either side.
Right.
But they do want to meet all the candidates. And like you said, sometimes these people are actually more engaged than a straight party line
Yeah,
voter.
that's right.
Yeah, they want to meet the candidates because they're not tied in, like you said, with all of the literature and
If
things.
they're open-minded enough to say, hey, you want to talk to me? Talk to me. We'll
Yeah.
have that conversation.
Yeah.
But there's another large group, influential group in New Hampshire that is a party, the Libertarians. Have you had any interaction with the Libertarians? Because the Libertarians, they're largely conservative, but there are
Yeah.
some fringe items in there that can be harmful, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that certainly they overlap, right, at a lot of the events, and so they're at a lot of the GOP type events, right? And yeah, I've engaged with them some. I'm definitely more of a conservative myself, so but that is the New Hampshire way, right? Live free or die. So definitely having those conversations with them. And
No, I'm not saying anything bad about the Libertarians.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's another whole block here that tends to be
unique.
very focused on their issues, and they don't seem to go outside those issues very much. But those issues are conservative issues. A lot of
Right.
them are, right?
Yeah.
But that is another block that you need to address.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
So how are you going to go forward? I mean, what I know you have a team put
Yeah.
together, right? So we're still a long way off, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, we're not even in the filing period yet.
No.
right?
No, not for a long time.
And there are estimates about how much money you need to run for Congress in New Hampshire. That's a
was
lot
the
of
next
money.
thing.
I've heard upward of
We
5
gotta-
million
we
is
gotta-
this
we
race.
gotta raise some of
so.
that money. How are you going to do that?
Yeah. Well, I think we were talking before that I jumped in largely not knowing what I was doing, being new to politics. But so the last 5-6 weeks has been just kind of learning what I didn't know. So, but I do have a team in place now. They're very experienced, and they're going to help with fundraising. And we're going to have really the first fundraising quarter is pretty important. So have some big fundraising goals for the first quarter just to get out the gate, right? And I think that in general for New Hampshire candidates, for Republicans, we're going to have to do some big fundraising to show DC that they can bring in money and help with this race.
Exactly.
So the goal is is focused on fundraising right now and getting my name out there and just trying to meet as many people as I can.
So have you been traveling?
Yeah, I haven't
across
done
the
DC
district?
yet, but across the district, yes.
Across the district,
Yeah, so
You having town halls. And
it's
what are
amazing
you
how
doing?
overnight, how quickly things changed. It was like my name got out there, and then all of a sudden I was invited to everything, which is great. I actually really enjoy being around the district. But yeah, the GOP groups, they're all great, and it's summer, so they're all having events. Plus,
Yep.
they're having their meetings, so there's always places to be and new groups to meet. And I love that about our state, that how engaged these groups are and how much they want to meet us and want us to be present and, again, want us to hear their ideas and want to hear, what our platforms are. So that's been really fun to start traveling around and meeting people. So, and then DC will be on the horizon probably in September. They've been on recess, so haven't been down there yet. But
So what kind of an event would you go to in DC? Like, how do you find these things? All right? I'm sitting at home, I'm sitting on the sofa, I'm
Yeah.
watching the news, and I am very angry at something that's happening. I'm running for office, right? Well, I know I've got my local GOP committees, but these
Yeah.
folks, they don't have the contacts down in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
How do we go about climbing that ladder of influence to get yourself sitting in front of the right people in Washington, D.C.?
yeah, it's building a team, and so that's where my business mindset came in. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, the first thing I need is a good team of people. And so again, I hired what I think is the best team, and so we have, they're up here and they're also in DC, so they'll get the right connections and the right people to talk to down there. And then the NRCC is the other organization down there that will get us set up with people that we need to talk to down there. So, but yeah, again, as far as, thinking about this not like a politician but like a business person, I think having the people around you that can guide you in those things, especially for me being new to it, is tremendously important. So excited to have that now in place.
Yeah, one of your team members worked for Frank Inta
Yeah.
at one time.
Well, that's
So-
some good experience to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is
Yeah, they
the
worked
people
with-
you've contacted
Yeah.
based on our conversations
Yeah.
before the show, I think will help you a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you'll get in front of the people in DC. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because sometimes when you're running, people will say, well, he went out and raised money outside of New Hampshire. Why isn't he raising it here? Because
Yeah.
there's not a lot of money
There's
here.
not enough here.
And
Yeah.
we're cheaper than most.
Yeah.
And it's like betting on a horse, sort of.
Yeah.
But, so it's important that you do fundraise in other states.
Yep.
You have to. You don't have
Yeah.
much of a choice because you can't possibly raise enough money here.
You can't.
Especially you're going to be in a primary. So
Yep.
now you've got 2 or 3 other players trying to take money from the same people.
Well, that's what you got to do. You've got to counter that argument with a single sentence. Not a single federal candidate in New Hampshire has been elected without leaving the state for
Exactly.
fundraising.
Yeah.
Not one.
There's not
right?
enough. Yeah,
so
there's
you
not
can't
enough.
you can't take that flack from the Democrats.
Yeah.
They are not able to make that argument.
No,
Just
certainly
they're
they
not
get a lot
able
of funding
Just
outside
like
of
they
the
have no standing when it comes to gerrymandering. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
They are.
exactly.
So how many towns are in your in CD1?
How many towns?
Yeah, do you know?
I'm not sure. No.
Okay, so that'll be where you'll probably. I would guess you're going to focus on the largest areas
Yes.
that have Republican support in.
Yeah, so we'll
Right.
start, in the greater Manchester area where I live, like Bedford,
Yeah.
Manchester, Derry, Londonderry, Goffstown, kind of all those areas around Manchester. But Ben, I've already been up to Winnipesaukee, been up to that group, been to the Seacoast a couple times, so really trying to get
So
everywhere.
you have Portsmouth as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. It's,
So that would include Dover too,
Yeah.
right? You'd have to include.
Yep.
So
Yes.
you've got a lot of big cities.
Yeah.
CD1 has. You don't have Nashua, right? That's CD2, right?
Yeah.
yes.
But you've got Manchester, Concord, Dover, Portsmouth.
not
Keene-
Concord.
Not
you don't have
Concord?
No, Concord's CD2.
Keene?
No, that's all. That's
That's all-
CD2.
that's
Yeah, it's just
two.
Manchester, Seacoast, kind of up to Winnipesaukee
But all the way
area.
up to Winnipesaukee, though.
Yeah. So
How does that not
Rel-
include Concord?
Well, because they did this. way.
exactly. Yeah. It's
Somebody
not a
went
straight,
like
it's not a
this.
straight
That's what
line.
we're going to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as far as the 2 districts go, it is easier to get around than
Yeah.
going all the way up to the northern part of
Oh
the
yeah,
state.
having to do
Too.
Coos County
Yeah.
and Colebrook and
Yeah.
that's
That's
a lot
really
of traveling.
tough.
That's,
Yeah.
But you have
I
relatives
don't,
in
I don't
Canaan,
envy Lily,
Enfield,
but
Canaan, yeah.
I do support her. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so it should be interesting as your competitors move forward as well.
Yeah.
We'll probably have some debates, maybe.
yeah, we have a couple of declared candidates. How do you feel
Yeah.
about that?
I know that there's going to be a field, so and it probably will get bigger, and that's just kind of expected. That was expected with jumping in. So yeah, I think I'm gonna run on my race and my platform and try to get in front of the voters and introduce myself and let them know what I'm all about. And I think that's my race to run, and they're going to run on their own issues, and so.
Yeah, your experience as a business person will be a little different than some of the others.
Yeah.
Although I think in CD1 there are a couple of people that have run businesses
Yeah.
running for Congress.
Yep.
So when you get down to Congress and you start legislating and you start
Yeah.
voting on fiscal and financial issues, are you going to join the stock market?
Exactly, to supplement my pay down there. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
So that's a big issue right
Yeah.
now. There's a bill in there to stop
Stop that.
Yeah.
Congress
I'm
from participating.
All for that. Yeah. No insider trading.
Yeah, and I also
Yeah.
think they shouldn't be lobbyists after.
Yeah.
That's
Congressmen becoming lobbyists afterwards?
Yeah.
Lobbyists for the organizations which they created legislation to
Yes.
manage?
yes.
Well, who becomes lobbyists, right? I mean, a lobbyist is someone who is familiar with the business but is also familiar with Congress. Why is an ex-congressman not a good fit for that?
Well, it's kind of like having a foot up on everybody. You know, if you've been a congressman, that particular group that you're working with, you'll convince them
And
to
you've already
vote
got
for
the
you.
Rolodex. You've already got the Rolodex on the
Yeah.
House floor.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean that's the only reason actually.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
but I know in the state we tried to do that. We don't want state
Yeah.
reps to become lobbyists right away. You know, it's because they have some.
Yeah.
It's like an inside kind of
Well,
thing.
it is.
It is,
It
yeah.
is.
And
I mean,
insider
it's-
trading and
It's a tough thing because one of the things once you become a congressman down in Washington, D.C., is it doesn't matter which party you're affiliated with.
yeah.
There is a building across the street from the congressional office building where you are asked as a freshman to go and spend so many hours a day doing cold calls,
Raising money.
raising
Yeah.
money, but not for yourself, for the national
Yeah,
party.
for the party. Yeah.
And if you don't do it, you become, an outcast, right?
Well, they'll
And
just
there's-
run somebody against it.
Well, exactly. But I mean, there are several folks who don't do that, don't participate in that.
That's true.
One of them is, I think, Rand Paul. Like he refuses,
Yeah.
Yes.
and so he's left to run on his own money and doesn't get any national monies.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that once you get down there are going to be forces that attempt to bring you into the swamp
Yep.
and change your mindset. Like we
Yeah.
all start out with these grandiose, I'm not going to fall into that trap.
Yeah.
I'm not going. But there are things like that
Yeah.
that are going to, forces that are going to be working on you
Yeah.
and say, hey, you need to raise money for the national, or else we're not going to support your reelection.
Yeah.
Or you need to vote over here, or else we're not going to, right?
Right.
So how do you plan to deal with that? Do
Yeah.
you think, because I've talked to, a lot of people say they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're not going to fall into it, right? I've had candidates come through here and say, here's my cell phone number. If I'm elected, call me.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, that's the New Hampshire way. We have that,
Right.
that contact. But I'm not sure how much resistance someone can put up once they're up against that machine. I mean, we see Dan Bongino and Kash Patel go down there saying that they're going to clean things up.
Yep.
And within a couple of months, we see them on an interview saying the opposite of what both of them were. I mean,
Yeah.
Dan Bongino's was very adamant about 3 or 4 issues, and now he's the assistant director of the FBI,
Right.
and he's made some statements that completely 180 degrees from what we
Yeah.
like. So there's some serious forces down there that you're going to have to deal with.
Yep. Yeah. That's an unknown on the horizon, but I'm hoping to get down there, and then
Yeah,
I will
right. Let's get
bring
down
you
there.
down there, and then I'll figure it out.
Well, I'm just kind of like.
But I'm
you know.
not doing this to be a career politician. That's not my intention.
Right.
Well, that's
I
another
have-
good point.
Yeah.
Is to not be
I have, and term limits. I'm all for term limits.
Good. Term limits, no insider trading.
Yeah.
These are the things that we want to pass.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
needed for decades.
Yeah. So I'm not down there for a long career. I mean, I'll be down there as long as I need to be, but really want to do it to make a change. And I'll say it's similar to corporate America, right? Which I have worked in, and same thing. You have to kind of have your convictions and hold
Stick by
strong
your
to
own
them.
convictions,
Yeah.
right.
So I've dealt with some of that. I know it's totally different than the DC swamp, but at least some experience there.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think we have some real good politicians who
Yeah.
were started in business and now have, like the president,
It's-
gone
Like
on
the
and
president.
done,
It seems
gone on
that
and done
those are
big
the
things.
best politicians,
It
the ones
appears to
that
be.
can't be bought and don't
Yeah.
need to stay there forever.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard though. I've heard this plenty of times about, why isn't it brought to the floor to have term limits? Because the same people who are going to vote on that
Yeah.
want to stay in. They don't,
Right.
you know, so
Right.
that's a difficult one, but.
Which I don't understand why you can't just do grandfather them in and get it going forward. I mean,
Well, I think there's other ways you
grandfather
can.
them in for
Yeah.
like one more term if
Yeah.
they're past, right? I mean, if you've got a senator who's been there for 25 years and they're all 6-year terms,
right.
you can say, okay, that's a 6-year term. We'll grandfather you in for
Yeah.
one more campaign. If you're a and that's 6 years.
Right.
And if you're a rep and you've been there beyond the newly enacted limits, we'll let you stay for 6 more years, which is 3 more campaigns, right? But
Yes.
if we set a number like that, and okay, now we're going to have some turnover.
Right.
The downside to that, to any of that, is that as soon as we do enact those term limits, there is going to be some legacy, decades-long knowledge, know-how. How do you deal?
Institutional knowledge.
Institutional knowledge that's going to have to be phased out.
Yeah.
And that institutional knowledge could stick around under the guise of lobbyists,
Right.
right? Or you know, staffing and whatnot.
Yep.
I mean, you know, that's it's going to have
Consultings.
to stick around for in the consulting manner. But I mean,
Sure.
we don't want to like draw a line and everybody drops off the face of theirs, and all of a sudden we have, you know, 535 freshmen in Congress.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyway, I'm ranting. It's your show, not mine.
We've cut her off, though,
What-
unfortunately.
Why haven't we covered?
So, yeah, I mean, so
How
why?
about some other issues?
Yeah.
Immigration, crime, homelessness.
Yeah.
You know, these are all local issues, but they're also national issues,
Yeah.
as we are seeing at the federal level in D.C. in the last few days.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have safety, if you're not in a safe community, you have nothing else. You don't have any freedom, right? If you can't be free to, if I can't run down the street, take a run and be
Right.
safe, then I have no freedom, right? So safety is really important. I think it starts with supporting our police officers right here at home, and then all the way up to our federal enforcement officers. And it's not just supporting them and giving them the resources. Like in DC, what we're seeing, the police officers there said they don't have the support and the resources, so they're grateful that President Trump is coming in and helping.
Yeah, the D.C. union,
Yeah.
police union, is all on board with all of
Yeah,
this.
because they're
aside from what you
overwhelmed.
hear in the legacy media.
Yeah, because they're overwhelmed. So it's certainly making sure they have the resources, and then just in general, the attitude of people that we have to be building them up as heroes. We can't be tearing them down and, you know, talking about them so negatively, because that's really gotten harmful and really making the world out there unsafe because people aren't respecting police officers. So I think it's the combination of making sure they're funded and making sure that we're supporting them. So
Yeah, I mean, here in the city, even homelessness is
Yeah.
one of the issues, and I don't know whether we're ever going to solve that. We've had everybody we
Yeah.
can think of that have been on here, and they're all doing good things, but you know, there's more to it, I
Yeah.
think, and it's not just giving them a place to live. That's not
Right.
the.
Well,
And a lot of them don't want to live.
There's a lot of nuances to it.
Yeah.
But,
Sure.
If anything is going to get resolved, there has to be a line. There has to be a tough love line where you draw the line. Right? You can't stay in a gray area forever, right? And the gray area is homelessness, crime, drug abuse, and mental illness are all intertwined into a giant gray area.
Yep.
But we can't, if we say, oh, well, we can't force people who don't want to go to a shelter to go to a shelter.
yeah.
And we can't force people who don't want to get help, mental help, to get mental help. We can't force them to take the drugs. We can't force them to go to the doctor. We can't, right? And we've just mired ourselves into this gray area.
Yeah.
Whereas it sounds cruel, it sounds harsh, but in D.C., the word came down yesterday to the homelessness, to the homeless communities. Either you accept the homeless housing and the rules that go with the homeless housing, meaning that you go into the houses, you're sober,
You're clean.
you clean, and you participate in the back to work programs,
Yeah.
right? But in DC, in the last couple of days, they said either you go into the shelters and participate in that programs, or we arrest you and you sit in jail until, because in jail you get the same programs.
Right.
You get sober. Folks,
Yeah.
I mean, we have a pastor that comes on every year. He spends most of his career in a jail twice a year or twice a week in Massachusetts. He goes to the prison and he helps folks with drug addiction. He helps folks with faith, right? So all of those programs exist.
Yeah.
Even if all you have to do is spend the weekend in Valley Street, right? You get sober and all of these resources are handed to you. Hey,
Yeah.
before you're let out on bail,
Yeah.
here's something that can help you, right? So I think the tough love approach is something that we've got to come to terms with, because like I said, all of those other things are great. They're heartstrings,
Yeah.
pulling heartstrings,
Right.
because you've got all of the crime, the homelessness, the drug addiction, and the mental health are all this one giant gray area, and we just can't have that go on forever. We have to draw a line.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've heard it called like toxic empathy, like too much empathy. Like that's not the right thing for people either, just to let them live on the street and not to give them the resources they need. So you need common sense policies, right? And I feel like that's what the Democrats have been doing for so long, is they're playing on that empathy, and they've moved so far from common sense because of it. We still need law and order. We still need clean, safe communities, and that does mean
And
having a line.
shop owners need to be able to have the sidewalk
Yeah.
in front of their shop be clean and free of crime, and not just a homeless bed place.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And we see that here.
Yeah.
Everybody who's, I won't even go on.
Yeah.
We'll skip that.
Yeah. Well, no, I think that's that issue. Like so many, it's obviously it's not a straightforward issue. Like there's
Right, it's not, but at some point it has to be.
it has to
right?
be. And I think that a lot of the issues are interrelated, right? And it's steering this big ship back in the right direction, which is what I see with what's going on in Washington now with Trump and his administration. Is there's not clean, simple answers. Some things they are, you can carve out, but mostly it's we've got to get going back in the right direction before we can start having things like, how do we get to a balanced budget? Well, we have to get going in the right direction first before we're going to get there. And it takes a little bit of patience, which is hard. I know we just want to be to that point now, but I think we have to keep heading in that direction.
And somebody has to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody has to step up and say, okay, I know this is hard. I know this doesn't feel great for everybody,
Yeah.
but I'm going to make a decision and we're going this direction.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be the bad guy, and that person has to complain, right? I mean, it's just like being a parent, right?
Yeah.
You may not
Exactly.
understand this today, son,
Yeah.
but this is what we're going to do,
Yeah.
and 10 years from now, you're going to thank me for it,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So,
So is there any particular committee or particular thing you would like to do
Yeah.
from day one when you go there, or is any particular area, finance, I would think would be
Finance,
your
yeah,
biggest-
financial services. I'm
Yeah.
definitely interested there. I'd like to do some work maybe with student lending and kind of taking a look at that. Also very interested in education, so either of those two areas I have a lot
All
of
good
interest in.
stuff.
So, yeah.
all winning.
Winning, winning, winning.
For
Exactly.
conservatives,
Yeah.
So.
Will we ever get tired of winning? I don't know. I hope not.
No.
So is there anything, you can face the camera, tell people how to
Okay.
reach you, what's the easiest way to reach you, and, where would you like to go next?
Okay. Well, you can reach me. I have a website, so Melissa Bailey for Congress, and then I'm on Facebook and Instagram and X, Melissa for New Hampshire. So that's where I'm at right now. And yeah, you should start seeing me out at more events. And yeah, I think that's where you'll.
Yeah, just
Okay,
meeting
so-
people.
Yeah.
You have to shake their hands 3 times before you
Yep.
can get their vote. And you know what?
Exactly.
That's pretty accurate,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
That's what people want to see here, and that's why we're going to have First Nation again, but not, unfortunately, it's going to be later, but
Yeah.
certainly going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to make sure you say before we end? We're getting close to, we have some
Yeah.
time. We have a few minutes.
Okay.
Any particular thing?
Yeah, I guess I just want to, I really hope that our party, I hope that we're optimistic about this opportunity with this seat. I've talked to people already that are, we're never going to win, that kind of attitude. And I'm really optimistic. And I think it comes down to getting in front of the voters, giving our message that, the Democrats are good at storytelling. And again, it's that empathy card that they play on.
Yep.
And we need to do the same. We have the winning issues, and we just need to get them in front of people and put it in front of them in a, in a way that they can relate to. So I'm very optimistic. I think that if we all work together and we do the hard work, that really we can win this seat.
Awesome. Good to have you on.
Yeah.
Hope that you're going to be on again once you get down to Congress.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we need a sitting representative to
Right. So we
Yes.
need exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I will vow to do that.
All right. You made the promise on
Okay.
live TV.
Yeah.
So all right. Next week.
Let me look. Next week is Lisa Mazer.
Lisa Mazer.
If she's back from Italy.
Oh yeah,
Because
she's been on a secret mission in Europe.
and she's posting a lot of pictures, and I want to go. I haven't been there, but she was in one of my family's areas on the
Yeah.
Amalfi Coast.
Oh, yeah.
And I just felt, why am I sitting here
When you could be
when
over
I
there?
could be there?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can buy houses pretty cheap right now over there. Pretty
Yeah.
good stuff. So anyway, she'll be on, and she's got a lot of educational bills that she put through, and
Yeah.
also women's sports. So I don't know whether you've talked to Lisa or you know her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would
Yeah.
be a good thing to do.
Yeah, we have great reps that have, her, Kristen Noble, I've talked to a lot
Yeah,
of them
Kristen.
about.
Yeah, that'll be
issues,
fun.
So, yeah.
That's great. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right, we will see you next week.
Two shows back to back. Unfortunately, but you should go see them. I'm sure the tickets are pretty cheap. So that's cool. And right at the turn of the hour, we are going to do the Killer Song of the Week. Yay! Woo! Just what you've been waiting for. I was kind of gonna go off the vibe of that first song I played by The Head and the Heart, because it was reminding me of Brandon Flowers, the lead singer of The Killers, like crazy. So I was like, okay, I need to like do a song that like kind of connects to that, like in my brain, but and also kind of like aesthetically or whatever. But wait, before I go into it, I need to tell you some news about the Killers, by the way. This might not be super important to anybody else, but I thought this was super cute and fun. If you know the artist Lucy Dacus, she actually performed with the Killers like last week when they were somewhere. I don't even know where they were, festival or something. But it was so cute. She sang Read My Mind with them, which was so cool because you don't really get to see them perform with another woman a lot. I feel like usually when I see him with another guest, it's usually like another famous like old guy or something. So it was really fun to see him singing with like a female artist who's closer to like my generation. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I guess she does covers of Read My Mind with her other band Boy Genius sometimes. So he like heard about it and was like, hey, you want to come sing it with me? And she was like, yeah. And it was super cute. I recommend looking up the video if you're interested. But yeah, I love that for them. So the song I'm going to do by the Killers is from their album Imploding the Mirage, the one that came out before their last album. And this song is very good.